Yes, Muslims believe in Jesus, but they've got it all wrong. In this video, my goal is to present to you the biblical version of Jesus, as well as the Quranic version of Jesus, and let you decide by the end of the video, with the evidence we have, which version is correct. Now, I just want to make something clear before we hop into anything else. My two versions of Jesus, from the biblical perspective and the Quranic perspective, are not exhaustive. Christians believe more than just what I'm going to tell you about Jesus, and Muslims believe more than what I'm going to mention in my list. But I've kind of boiled it down to what I think is the essential pieces of who Jesus is in each religion. So let's start with Christianity. According to Christianity, and of course the Bible, Jesus offers salvation. This is evident in Matthew 7, Mark 16, Luke 19 and 15, John 3 and 5 and 6, and John 11. We also believe that he claimed to be God. This is evident in Mark 14 and John 8. We believe that he was crucified by the Romans and then died. This is evident in Matthew 27, Mark 15, Luke 23, and John 19. Then, of course, the crux of our religion says that he resurrects from the dead. This is evident in Matthew 28, Mark 16, Luke 24, and John 20. Now, according to Islam, Jesus was simply a messenger. He was not divine. This is evident in Surah 4 and Surah 5. They also believe that he was not the Son of God. We see this in Surah 112 and Surah 19. They also believe that he was not crucified. We see this in Surah 4. And the final thing that I have here is that he preached monotheism. We see this in Surah 3, Surah 4, Surah 5, and Surah 19. Now, if you're a Christian and you're watching this, you heard those 3 points about Islam and you thought to yourself, wow, those are massively problematic. Like, he was simply a messenger. He wasn't divine. Obviously, we don't believe that as Christians. He was not the Son of God. Once again, we do not believe that as Christians. And then they believe that he was not crucified, which is, I think, honestly insane, because you don't have to be a Christian to recognize historical evidence. But the last one is interesting, that he preached monotheism. Now, Christians would actually agree with this, but when you look at what the Quran says, and I would encourage you to go look at all of the sections I just mentioned, what the Quran actually is saying is not that he preached monotheism, but that he actually preached anti-Trinitarianism. Now, for those of you who are new Christians, and that was maybe a word that, or a phrase that just kind of made your brain explode a little bit. Christians believe in what we call the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, a triune God. Muslims cannot stand this. They hate the fact that we believe in a triune God, and they call us polytheists because of that, which is the belief in many gods. So when Islam says that Jesus preached monotheism, what they're trying to do is say that Jesus was not a Trinitarian. Okay, so now that you understand the differences in what Christianity's core beliefs about Jesus are and what Islam's core beliefs about Christianity are, let me know down in the comments. If you're new to all of this, did you learn anything? I definitely learned something just doing research for this video. I learned things about Islam that I didn't know before. So maybe you've gotten to this point in the video and you're thinking, okay, Tabor, all of this is great, but who cares that there's differences? I just want to know who to trust. And here's what I'll tell you. We as Christians have the privilege of having a mountain of evidence for the existence of Jesus as not just a person, but also doing the things that the Gospels claimed he did. Miracles, rising from the dead. But fortunately for us, in this debate of which Jesus is actually reliable, we don't really need that mountain of evidence. We just need one specific point. Now let's consider this for a second. The Quran was written in the 7th century. The Gospels, the story of Jesus, were written in the 1st century. Jesus lived in the 1st century. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down here. Not only were the Gospels written in the 1st century, they were written by the eyewitnesses of Jesus or by people who knew the eyewitnesses of Jesus in the case of something like Luke. And the Quran itself makes a fraction of the historical claims about Jesus, and it does so 600 years after the man even existed. Now, I want to present this as plainly as possible, and so I want to give you the opportunity to look at these two distinct versions of Jesus and try to do your own research, I guess, here. On one hand, we have the Islamic version of Jesus recorded in the Quran. Who was the Quran written by? Well, supposedly it was written by Allah, aka God. Now, once again, it was written in the 7th century, which is 600 years after Jesus existed. And then on the other hand, you have the biblical version of Jesus with 4 separate accounts of this person's life, all written within the same century of his existence, written by the eyewitnesses, or, like I mentioned before in the case of the Gospel of Luke, by somebody who interviewed eyewitnesses. I feel like the information speaks for itself. I feel like the evidence speaks for itself. Let me just present a very simplified version of this scenario to you. Let's say that somebody wants to write a book about your life. And then, 600 years later, somebody starts to make claims about your life as well. As somebody sitting outside of that scenario, who are you going to trust to write an accurate account of your life? The person who knows you and exists with you, or the person that exists 600 years later? Now, the fascinating response that I see Muslims respond to hard evidence about Jesus with is, well, the Gospels and the Bible are just corrupted. And to be totally honest with you, the best way to refute that argument is simply this. What evidence do you have that the Gospels are corrupted? And they don't have any evidence. Now, if you're watching this video in preparation to maybe have a conversation with a friend who's Muslim, or a conversation online, or maybe just to be more prepared to defend your Christian faith, this is just a piece of the puzzle. The other massive part of your faith as a Christian is reading the Bible. And my most recent video that I just made will really help you not just read it, but study it. And then the other video I released before that will actually tell you maybe where to start in your faith for this season right now. So I'll link the playlist to those videos somewhere on the screen here. I'll see you over there.